Thank you, Mike. That thing that you said about telling your wife to pull over, that's a true statement. My husband is an amateur photographer, and I'm often told, pull over. Oh, can you back up just a little bit? No, a little bit more. Oh, now pull forward just 5 feet. No, back up a little bit. Happens all the time. Thank you, Mike. Up next on our Ignite Learning stage is a 6th grade math teacher at Ordine East Middle School who has a true passion for theater. He performed on this stage just this last weekend in Rough Magic, a theatrical celebration of Shakespeare's first folio. Please welcome John Pokrzywinski with his story, Learning a Role.
Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew, or that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. Oh, God, God, how weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me all the uses of this world. I'm an actor. Little slice from Hamlet there to lighten the mood. When Tammy asked me to share some things with you, I thought, what do I learn on a regular basis? And I learn roles. I learn parts in plays, and I thought I would share a little bit with you about how I go about doing that. The lower left is me and Brian Matusak as Hamlet, as Banquo and the Scottish King, right about there. So how do you learn a role? Actually, I just got cast in a show, and I'm just starting a new show that's going up in June, and it's a 2-person show, and it's a full-length thing, so I got a lot of work to do. How do I go about it? Well, first it's the words. A lot of times after a show, when an audience comes through, they say, nice show, thank you very much. And something that they say sometimes, which used to kind of get under my skin, they'd say, how did you learn all those lines? And I thought, gosh, there's so much more to learning a part than just getting the lines down. I was kind of, I don't know, put out by that, like, oh, you just don't know. But now that I think about it, I'll take that compliment. If somebody's impressed with that, it's a lot of work. Getting the words down is a huge part of learning a role. So I'll just talk a little bit about how do you get down all those lines. For me, it's a couple of things. Making connections, making sure that what you're saying, if you have an emotional connection to it, you're going to remember it a lot better. If you really understand exactly what you're saying, especially with Shakespeare, when you do Shakespeare, you have to make sure that you've deciphered it all. So emotional connection is huge, and a physical connection is huge as well. The blocking refers to the stage movement on a play, so you have to cross down left on this line. So if you know the blocking and you can connect what you're physically doing on stage along with what you're saying, that gets into your muscle memory, and that helps you remember as well. I have a friend who's an actor, and he just cannot get a word down. It's like it doesn't stick at all until he gets up on his feet and say, okay, I'm down here at this line, I'm up over here on this line. So making a physical connection, and then repetition. Repetition. I just think with getting your lines down, or playing the piano, or making pesto, or putting up pickles, or brain surgery, practice, how do you get into Carnegie Hall? Practice. Doing things over and over and over again. I think that's really, really valid. So, and then the same thing with getting your lines down. Repetition. I do a little Shakespeare club at my school, and I just did it a couple hours ago with my students, and we were working on getting some lines from The Tempest down, and we're just doing it over and over and over again. So, allow me to put it all together. So if I want to get these lines down, which are the ones I actually have down right now, but I'd go to something like this. Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt. Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt. Oh, that this and I'm going to cross down here. Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt. oh, that this two solid flush, over and over and over again, and then it gets deep into your head. So what happens next? Once you got the lines down, then there's other parts too, for me, getting a roll down. And I just call this part just technique. And I really like the word technique. And I think of it as a system for doing something that you do over and over again, whether it's brain surgery or putting up pickles or making pesto or playing the piano or learning a roll. So I have a little technique for when I learn a roll. And there's some famous techniques by some famous thinkers, actors, and writers. But one of the resources that I've used a lot is this little pamphlet. It's a very short book written by a number of students of the playwright David Mamet. And I'll just share one little nugget from this that I get, that I find really helpful when I take on a role, is to really be clear that when you're on stage, you've got something to do. Don't worry about what you feel. You can't control that. You can't do that consistently. Don't worry about if you're connecting with the other person. You can't control that. But if you decide, I'm going to do something in this scene, make a decision to do that. And that you can do every night. So, for example, in the beginning of the play Hamlet, Hamlet says to his mother, I shall in all my best obey you, mother. Okay, so I can't think, I've got to feel angry right now, or I've got to feel, I'm going to do something. I'm trying to get her to leave me alone. So that's what I'm doing in that scene. I shall in all my best obey you, mother. And whether I feel that or not important, as long as I know what I'm doing in those scenes. So that's a little bit about technique. And then the last thing I do that I found the most enjoyable of all, and not just in acting, but in everything when I learned the best, is I do this. Nothing. I just sit and I think, or I run and I think, or I lie awake in the morning and I think, and things just, they come down to you. Whether it, for me, with referring to learning a role and getting these beautiful epiphanies about, oh, that's what's going on in this scene, or that's how we should do this, that's where we should move it, and I just think that's lovely. Just quiet contemplation. And I just want to riff on that just a little bit, kind of as I close. I used to, when I was in 4th grade, I had a paper out. I delivered the Grand Forks Herald after school every day for a year. And so it was me and my dog for an hour and a half, just delivering the papers after school every day, every day, every day. And 4th grade was really good. I got the Citizenship Award, and I just remember being pretty happy. And then in 5th grade and 6th grade, I would look back at 4th grade and say, I was really happy in 4th grade, and I think it's because I had that paper out. I had that time to think every day. And then in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, where I knew better than everything else, I realized, oh, boy, that sure was silly of me to associate that time of contemplation with my happiness and well-being. But now that I'm really, really, really smart, I'm able to look back and say, man, I think there was something to that. I think my well-being when I was 10 years old was connected with that time to be quiet and contemplative every day. And when I'm not well at all, these days, there's times where I'm not well, and it's because that's been missing. And so I'm that's been on my brain lately. And not just with learning a role, but with everything. Brain surgery, or making pesto, or putting up pickles, or playing the piano, that time of real quiet contemplation and letting things just come to you. So, thank you.